Hey everybody, welcome back to the LuckyDog podcast. This is your host, Elias Raj. This podcast is sponsored by EliasRajMedia.com, photo, video, digital media production. Today we are discussing season 3 of Barry on HBO Max. So for anyone that is unclear about what Barry is, it is a black comedy crime drama thriller television series created by Alec Berg and Bill Hader that premiered on HBO March 25th, 2018. Just thinking about that, how long ago this actually was aired on. Well, that's almost like 4 years at this, over 4 years at this point. Feels like quite a long time, but the episodes, the episodes are so short. The seasons are pretty condensed. I think it's uh, 3 seasons so far, 8 episodes each season, and each of the episodes are approximately 26 to 35 minutes. This is an absolute breeze of a television show to get through, from the pacing and from the acting and from everything technical about it. It is pretty much a short styled series, very much in the same realm as kind of the Breaking Bad formula of having, a blend of comedy blended in with a kind of black comedy with the dramatic flares in there as well. And on top of that, I think this is actually one of the best television shows from the cinematography standpoint and acting standpoint and writing standpoint, that it just really fires on all cylinders. Bill Hader and Stephen Root, Derek Goldberg, Fleshler, Anthony Kerrigan, Henry Winkler, Sarah Burns. It's got a stellar cast. Everyone from top to bottom brings their A game. The supporting cast always brings their A game. It's a show I would absolutely recommend, especially if you haven't seen any of the series. From about here on out, like I said, I would recommend if you don't have any idea about the series. It's a hitman that wants to become an actor, but his hitman lifestyle won't let him leave the industry, the crime industry. So it's a pretty interesting blend of you got the comedy and the drama, but its ability to walk that tightrope is what makes this show special. And so for anyone that hasn't seen it, absolutely go watch it, then come back and watch or listen to the podcast. Like I said, we have this on YouTube. So we got the SoundClouds. We're on all of the different social medias that you got your podcasting platforms are on. So, yes, absolutely watch the first 3 seasons. Right now, I am getting ready to cover the final episode of season 3 and kind of dabble in season 3 a bit, just to kind of get everyone kind of caught up on what happened through some of our favorite characters and storylines. Well, actually, this is the first time I've seen a television show listed under tragic comedy. It's got black comedy, comedy drama, crime, psychological drama, and tragic comedy. So that's actually, I didn't realize that tragic comedy was a genre, but I would absolutely say that this show descends each season into a slightly more darker version of itself. It feels like the first season was very much, uh, you know, an equal balance of comedy and drama with regards of following the character Barry and following, the actors, the acting class. You got Henry Winkler as the acting coach. And then you have like uh, favorites that are character favorites that are in the show, played by Anthony Kerrigan. He plays a guy named NoHo Hank. It's a Chechnyan mob gangster, but he has kind of a really likable heart of gold. It's this kind of thing where he's just kind of, I guess it's okay to say this now, but kind of a little bit blissful now. It was almost how I would describe before the whole Johnny Depp thing went down with him and Amber Heard getting on and all of that. He kind of radiates a little bit of like what is it? Jack Sparrow energy a little bit. NoHo Hank does, kind of blissful, but he might be a little bit nefarious, but he also is just incredibly likable and relentlessly easy to watch, at least for those, early movies that, Sparrow was in. But I really felt like that's what they've done with NoHo Hank as well, kind of made him that, um, interesting type of character as well. So, yeah, Stephen Root kind of plays, the guy that is was in charge of kind of linking up Bill Hader's Barry's character to all of the types of crime in the industry and stuff like that. He was the one sending him on these missions and stuff like that. But it would be almost the equivalent of, for the people that haven't seen it and they're just listening to this podcast for whatever reason, it would be almost like a Jason Bourne wants to become an actor, wants to not be Jason Bourne anymore. Except this Jason Bourne is full-fledged antagonist. He is not a protagonist. He is kind of self-serving. The third season really shows the ugly side of Barry and how the consequences have come home to roost. And with saying that, Bill Hader puts on an amazing performance as Barry. Just going to kind of go down the list of the characters that are in this. Bill Hader as Barry is what I would say best to describe it. He's evolved the character in so many ways and fleshed him out as not just. I think most people would probably categorize Bill Hader as a pretty strong comedic actor. But with this third season of Barry, we see the dark side of that, because we're like, oh, it's funny, Bill Hader, don't worry about it. Everyone loves him, that type of thing. But then when it really came down to it, we're really seeing the ugly sides of this character, Bill Hader's character, Barry Berkman, and showing how he's like psychologically breaking down. So right now we're getting ready to discuss season 3 and spoilers. But essentially this series has unfolded itself in a very similar light to how kind of Breaking Bad did the same kind of, I wouldn't say a rug pull, but it was a slow rug pull with the slow burn of understanding maybe this guy is not someone we want to root for. Like I think this show has won, received various accolades, including 30 Primetime Emmy Awards. Hader won Best Leading Actor in a Comedy Series twice. Winkler won Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Series in his performance for the first season. And Winkler, Root, and Kerrigan all received Emmy nominations for Outstanding Supporting Actor. The thing is, I wouldn't even consider this, and Goldberg received a nomination for Best Supporting Actress. I just got to say that I would barely consider this even a comedy at this point. Like it's so dark in this third season and serious that its ability to even have any comedy in it is honestly a breath of fresh air. It's such a culmination of bringing all of the terrible things that we've seen Barry do, and coming up and starting to bite him in the butt, so to speak. It's definitely this season is the one that has come to roost. And ironically, a lot of people would say that Breaking Bad, Breaking Bad kind of did the same thing with the implosion of the characters in that show around season 3 as well, and introducing new forces, new quote unquote bad guys for our bad guy to kind of go against. And so, I wouldn't necessarily say it's, beat for beat the same way, but we're definitely seeing the descent into madness for this character. Let me go to the season 3 opener just to kind of open up what happened and then how we ended. We're going to just talk about the first and final episodes of the season and kind of cherry pick some of the best stuff that happened through the different episodes. I don't have tons of detailed notes, so I'm gonna try to lean a little bit heavier into the into what happened on on here. So, a depressed in episode one, season three. A depressed Barry returns to contract killing, taking jobs on the dark web while auditioning for acting work. His relationship with Sally has become lifeless as Sally has become preoccupied with writing and starring in Joplin, a semi autobiographical TV series. Hank is questioned by the police regarding Janet Moss's murder, and the monastery shooting. And he diverts their attention away from Barry by identifying Fuchs, who is hiding in Chechnya as a culprit, claiming he is on a high level Chechnyan. Uh, Claiming he is a high level Chechnyan assassin. And we all remember what happened last season. Relatively, it has been like 2 or 3 years, honestly. 3 years since the since series season two had happened, but it does bring us back to um you know the main aspects that we were basically dropped right back into the story, even though it's been 3 years. um Barry is kind of back to acting a little bit more psycho and only continues to act like kind of a crazy abusive boyfriend throughout the rest of the season. um you know all last season he kept saying, starting now I'm going to get out this job, I'm going to, starting now I'm going to stop killing people, and he couldn't get himself out. And so um continuing on, Sally, um she is kind of pretty successful at the beginning of this season, and she's got an opportunity to have a new television show, basically show running it and whatnot, the show Joplin. And it's supposed to be a little bit autobiographical about her life, but also other um uh, she has other actors in it that kind of see the more heavier aspects of her life. I don't have her name right off the top of my head. Elsie Fisher playing Katie Harris, who is actually the other actress in her television series that Sally is trying to star in. But offset, Elsie is seeing, or Katie, Elsie's character, Katie is seeing Barry just be kind of an abusive asshole, like right in front of everybody, all on Sally. And throughout the season, um, there's a lot of this kind of shit, falls down the hill kind of thing. When somebody is shitty to somebody, that person ends up being shitty to another person, and that person is shitty to another person, because we want to kind of relate and like Sally. But the first few episodes, with the exception of her being yelled at Barry, she's not being all that nice of a person either. Sarah Goldberg, I think this is her standout season, without a doubt. I think season two was probably Bill Hader's best season, but Sarah Goldberg as Sally just blew me out the water, and it felt like almost every other episode that she's in, or every other episode, every other scene she's in, really requires her to bring her A game, and her just emotions ready to, explode, and in the best way. I don't want to say that, it's because she's, a female and she just has, her emotions aren't in check, but she's really being gaslit um, in so many ways, and being treated kind of shittily by Barry. And then on her job side, we just see how she's kind of being beat up within the system, and then how, how she's treating her assistants as well. So it is kind of the biggest critique I would say about this show is that with everyone we have, a lot of these people are known for being, pretty funny, or they have comedic backgrounds, or they've been in a lot of comedy. Bill Hader, Stephen Root. I don't know too much about Sarah Goldberg, but she might have been in some comedies as well. Um, Let me see. I don't see anything. This is comedy off the top of my head. Um, but we got Henry Winkler, Anthony Kerrigan. I'm not sure if he has much. He has a little bit of a mixed bag of filmography under his belt, but uh, clearly he's got comedic chops. Henry Winkler, comedic chops. Darcy Carden as Natalie Greer, who is, I think, the assistant for Sally. And I think her scenes are hilarious as well. Like all of these people naturally have comedic chops. So when we see them doing these serious roles and serious takes and just jaw dropping scenes, I was like here for it. I was blown away. I watched the season 3 finale today this morning at like I don't know, like 8:30 when I woke up, and it's the 13th today, June 13th, and I was just like jaw dropped. I was kind of like speechless for a little bit because I was like, oh my God, did all that just happen? A lot of times I'm like, yes, very good, clap, clap, golf clap. It was a good season and I'm ready to, go do whatever else. But it was just kind of like sticking with me. I was like, good God, see, some of these scenes were just so so well done, so creatively shot. The action scenes actually throughout the season were really interesting for me, watching them from a technical level, because I do feel like what Barry feels like in a nutshell is that they're doing so much behind the scenes, but they make it look so seamless. And it's a combination of the simplicity that looks like what's happening, like it just looks like maybe a long take is happening, or really superior editing is making it feel like this scene's taking on forever in the best ways, or this dreading feeling that's going to happen in the best way. It puts you in the emotion that you need to be in almost every time, and there's not a lot of dilly dally time because we're sitting. I mean, we have 26 minutes at the low, 30 minutes at the high, or something like that. And so at most, what do you get? Like 6 scenes at 5 minutes each, give or take. And so there's not a lot of time to bullshit around or walk around and sack around and have a beer and smoke a cig, or whatever the hell they're doing on the TV, on the screen. I'm kind of comparing in my mind like Animal Kingdom. I'm watching that as well, but that series is like 45 minutes to 50 minutes an episode, and I'm like, this would be such a superior show if they would just chop about 15 minutes off, because it feels like a lot of television shows, it's not just Animal Kingdom, which I do like, but it doesn't have the pacing like Barry does. It doesn't have the writing like Barry does. Obviously, the from the front of the screen, the acting and all that's very superior on Barry. Not to just shit on Animal Kingdom, but what would really help something like an Animal Kingdom or shows that are sitting at 45 to 50 minutes is just make them 30 minutes. There's no reason to dick around. Not every scene needs to be played. I do feel like sometimes we watch television and maybe more or less like cable television, because they're thinking, all right, well, we need to fill up 15 minutes of ads within this hour time span. So, it's got to be a 45-minute television show, even though they have a 25 minutes of story. So that means there has to be some bullshit in the time, in the, kind of B-roll in between. An example I can say off the top of my head without kind of going too far into talking about something completely not Barry would be, Barry will put you in the spot where you need to be. We don't normally see him traveling. There's not time for them to, if we do, it's with reason, or they're answering a phone call or something like that. But like somebody will call Barry, and or the character, and say, we need to see you right now. And he's like, well, blah, 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 I can't do it. He's like, the character's like, we need to see you right now. And instead of showing Barry take 5-10 minutes gathering his things and freaking out or whatever, it's just going to cut immediately to the next scene, and those two characters will be together. Something like Animal Kingdom, they'll have a 3-minute segment of people saying, surfboarding or, go-karting or ATVing or something like that, like 3 or 4 times within an episode, just to kind of pat what feels like padding in the series. And it kind of affects the pacing, in my opinion. And so that's why I think Barry it's not only wise from the writing of what happens, but it's very aware about the types of scenes that they're showing. It feels very purposeful. Get a little bit of coffee and we'll continue on with Barry. Yeah, not to shit on Animal Kingdom or anything. I think it's a fun show, and I've seen why a lot of people like Animal Kingdom, but I'm just like, this show would be so much better if you could just cut like 10 minutes from each episode, because it always kind of feels a little bit extra long. Anyways, let's get back to Barry. So the police, believing Barry's alibi and unable to verify Fuchs's real identity, accept Hank's statement and relay it to Gene Cousineau, who's Henry Winkler, who refuses to believe that Barry is blameless. Barry approaches Hank, who is now in a romantic relationship with Cristobal, and asks him for work, but Hank turns him away. Gene meets privately with Barry and threatens him at gunpoint. Over Moss's murder, but his prop gun falls apart. Barry subdues Gene and takes him to the outskirts of the city. Preparing to execute him, Gene pleads for his life, telling Barry that he can earn his forgiveness. Barry then has an idea, telling Gene to get in the trunk of his car. And so at the end of this first episode, I was like, please, dear God, do not kill Henry Winkler off this first episode, or don't kill him off the show. Don't kill Gene Cousineau, one of the verified most hilarious roles, and then most interesting roles when it comes down to understanding their motivations, who they are, what they've done. I really enjoy watching Henry Winkler come out. Well, I've really only have seen him in a handful of movies. I'm not extremely familiar with Henry Winkler as an actor outside of Barry and a couple of movies, but his comedic timing is so good. Like this, I know that he was, he was obviously famous for being in tons of different roles, but let me see. Yeah, he was in anything from all the way to from Scream to Waterboy, Night Shift, Click, Arrested Development. I loved him in Arrested Development. That was one of my favorites. Was it Growing Pains he was in also? He's had a bajillion different roles, and he's just phenomenal to have on screen. And I think his ability to, play the tightrope. I said the tightrope. The tightrope is the best for him, because he is such a he's kind of a goofball, in my opinion. So when he does the dramatic stuff, it really, really hits. He was Hole. I forgot he was in Holes. Oh my gosh, I can't remember that. They got a little slide. Okay, so yeah, he's Waterboy, the one and only. Happy Days. That was the one that I was trying to remember. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, I would like to go back and kind of do a little career retrospective with Henry Winkler. And so, anyways, kind of went down a Henry Winkler hole. Anyways, anything that has to do with Gene Cousineau, it's like protect Gene at all costs. So when you see Barry getting ready to just take him out, like kind of unceremoniously, I'm like, I absolutely believed he was going to get taken out. And obviously, we know what happens at the end of the season is the Cousineaus came home to roost. Him and what is that actor's name from The Wire? Robert Wisdom as Jim Moss, who was Jim Moss's uh, Janet Moss is his daughter, and Gene was dating um, Jim Moss's daughter before Barry killed her in season 2, I believe. And I want to say it was the end of season 2 that um, Gene was told by Fuchs that Barry killed Janet. And so it's just, it's like the dominoes falling. Every single thing has some sort of repercussion, or they have to deal with some sort of repercussion. And there is a scene at the end of this series with, or this episode or season, sorry, with Robert Wisdom and Henry Winkler, of Gene being interrogated by him. It is a slow burn that makes you feel like at the end of it, your ass is absolutely on fire. I was like, Gene is going to break in half, literally in front of Jim, if Jim doesn't literally break him in half. He just repeats everything he says till Gene gives him till Gene gives him an answer that he really wants, and we don't even see the outcome of that until the very end of the season. So everything makes sense and feels like it has a straightforward narrative, and it's kind of like a ping pong effect of the of who's going to get Barry first. Is it, is it the Jim Moss character? Is it Gene that's going to break? Is it NoHo Hank that's going to break? Is it Krista Bog that's going to break? Is, who is going to let let the cat out of the bag, so to speak? Was it going to be Katie, the co-star, say Sally's co-star? Was she going to say something? It seemed like just Barry just had so many things coming after him that it was like, is he going to die? Is he going to get beat? What is it? Social services going to show up or whatever? I don't know who shows up when. Yeah, are the police going to show up and you know bag him for abuse? Is he going to get shot by the Russians or the Chechnyan mafia or whatever? um i was I was like, there's so many options at the beginning of this, that how it ended at the end was so powerful. So yeah, Barry basically treats Gene like he's kind of stupid in a way, and Barry is obviously unkiltered. I'm not really sure how to categorize how Bill Hader is playing Barry, because he just seems like a husk of himself, like a shell of himself. He's not actually there. His body is just doing things, and he's not emotionally tied to anyone or anything. And he's proposing to Sally certain things that they could do to get back at the people that are, destroying her show or taking it off the air. They're like, yeah, we can make them, we can, I don't know what they say. I think he said something random, like switching their furniture every couple of days to make them think they're losing their mind, and switching, gaslighting, one of the executive producers to making them think that they're going crazy. And I think he says eventually like killing themselves. I was like, this is crazy. Like clearly he's got a lot going on in his head, besides just the PTSD of everything he's done, but he's also a soldier as well. And one of his former soldiers, friends, he shot, and then another soldier that was on that squad is coming after him at this point. The other soldier being Albert Wynn, played by James Liao. And I was like, dude, James, is it Albert that's going to get him? Is it Fuchs that's going to get him? Is it Jim Moss that's going to get him? There were so many different aspects about it that I was like, who's really going to clamp down on Barry, because he just can't be going, uh, going free like this with all these different, what feels like matches or fires that are coming after him. So anyways, let me see if there's anything else. Fred Malmed as Tom Porsoro was Gene's, I think he said agent, and he was hilarious. There's a couple like scenes with him in the middle that are him and Gene. He's like describing how Gene looked on the screen. Like throughout the season, eventually Barry's like, I'm not gonna kill you because I'm gonna get you an acting role or something like that. And it's like, okay, that for me, I was like, that's kind of a weird turnaround. It kind of feels like an excuse to have Gene stay on the screen. Um, but I'm glad that it ended up being Gene that came back and kind of sold Barry out, kind of tricking him to make it look like uh, he was thinking about killing Jim with the fake gun. Uh, Let me see. Let me talk about Stephen Root real quick. Monroe Fuchs, he's like out of the picture for a little bit. I thought I was feeling a little bit of the COVID effects of only they were like, all right, Stephen Root cannot be on screen with anybody else. So felt like a big handful of his stuff was shot just him alone or him talking on the phone to Barry. And I definitely felt that that was probably the weaker aspects. But when he is um, on screen, he shares some very interesting facts with different people. He's trying to like really put Barry in a bad position and showing up at different people's different houses, showing that I'm a private investigator and I can take him down kind of thing. And he's really trying to push for that to happen. Ends up getting put into jail or and taken to prison, whatever, and kind of framed as the Raven, which the police kept implying who the real killer was as opposed to Barry. Um, and there were some police. The captain of the police is pretty fucking funny. He has these like little side comments that I can't remember off the top of my head, but he's just kind of always rambling and he's kind of ridiculous as well. I think at one point they're like, the police captain comes up to him. He's like, all right, so you're going to do you need a phone book or a sock full of change to beat the beat the guy with, to beat Fuchs with, to get the answers you want for the interrogation? And people were like, no, what the fuck's wrong with you? Oh my gosh, I just love the random honesty that this guy's always blurting out. I think he was complaining about not going on vacation or something like that in this final episode. I was just so fucking funny. um let's continue on. Sally Reed, like I said, she's going through the ups and downs of being in the industry and dealing with having a show and then having a show get extremely good press, and then all of a sudden the show's just gone. And it does kind of put it feels like a little bit meta in the way that they talk about her show. Kind of feels like how people are talking about Barry a little bit, but then obviously Sally's show goes way off the rails. Her show gets basically canceled all in the same day. It's like released and she immediately thinks she's a star, like, superstar, sitting at coffee shops waiting to have to sign autographs and stuff like that, and wondering why is there people aren't coming up to her and recognizing her. And it's all because her show is being advertised on the front page of, it looked like a Hulu type streaming service, and then it was gone. I could only imagine what that would feel like for not just some of the showrunners of television shows and movies, for certain people, but how it would feel to have it up there but then all of a sudden taken away. That would be the scary thing. Like it make you feel amazing that it's up there and that you're getting that kind of marketing. I think everyone just kind of instantly assumes that you become a star once you're on TV and stuff like that. But if you go by how many millions of viewers are actually watching this television show, um, I'm sure that you could kind of go in the same realm. Like the first two seasons of Barry were easily getting 1 million to 2 million viewers. I think it started off season 2 with 500,000 and ended season 2 with 2,200,000 ish viewers, not including the DVR on it. But that's That's pretty substantial at that point. Um, and then this year it only had 0.24, basically a quarter of a million viewers for season 3. Now, I think that can be chalked up to a number of things. Of it's been like 3 years since season 2. People kind of forgot, don't remember all that stuff. Um, but I got to say that it does feel kind of relevant with talking about viewership and, kind of deciding to keep a show versus not keep a show, and what are the reasons for keeping the show. And Sally literally goes to the execs, and the execs like, well, the algorithm knows all, and the algorithm don't like your ass, Sally. So Joplin's got to go. um and so there are some amazing scenes with Sally. So, there's one scene where she's screamed at by Barry, and that was just so troubling to watch. It was like it was gaslighting and the super abusive relationships shown all in one scene, and I was just like, oh Jesus, this is really hard to watch, especially um, with a bunch of heavy scenes happening throughout the whole season. This whole season kind of felt like the last 3 episodes of a season for like the whole season. Like it felt like it kept up that kind of pacing, and it's like, oh my God, I don't know what's going to happen. And I'm like, I don't know. Oh my, at one point he's poisoned by a lady that I think Fuchs told, um, said that he killed their husband. Um, let me see if I can find her. I think that was episode 6. Anyways, um, yeah, I was, can't find it. Can't find it. Was it 7? No. Anyways, Barry is poisoned by one of his buddies' wives. I think it's Chris Miss Licardo. Licardo. I think that's it. I don't know. I don't have the actor's name, but um, when he's poisoned by them, it's like, how is he going to get out of this? And then, like, I'm thinking at the beginning of the season, he's got Gene Cousineau that knows everything about him, knows he's a fucking hitman, and knows that everything he can do. I'm like, without killing Gene, how does he get out of this? Um, and several times at the end of this season, he's fucking caught by the SWAT, FBI, or whoever the hell got him, with Jim and Gene working together. And all I'm thinking is, holy shit, how is he going to get out of this? I mean, every single time I'm like, this is incredible. And even around, I think it was episode 4, there is a father, sorry, a widower and her son Kyle are getting ready to kill Barry because Barry killed the husband and father of that family, and they were gonna, come take him out. And I was thinking, holy shit, how's he gonna get out of that? Because he's not gonna see a mother son combo coming at him from the left field. Ends up the mother ends up shooting the son on accident or something like that, or some sort of gun accident happens with Barry right outside the fucking car, and he doesn't even know how close he came to death right there. So it's almost like, he could easily be dead. um and it's just showing how Barry is just kind of barely sailing by, and he's getting a little bit too close to the sun, if you know what I mean. So um yeah, we have some amazing characters in this season. NoHo Hank and Cristobal. I completely forgot that they were a couple. The interesting thing about NoHo Hank is, the Chechnyans don't like um don't like Cristobal's. I think are they Cuban or Mexican? I can't remember. Cristobal, ball. Wait, where am I? Cristobal. Is Cristobal not on here? He's got to be on here. Dun, 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 dun. Let me find Cristobal. I'm going to find this fuck. Damn it. anyways, whatever Cristobal's, uh, I want to say he was in Mexico. So, anyways, I guess the Mexican drug cartel or something like that. Um, the Mexican the cartel and the Chechens do not like each other. And ironically, basically, the people that are leading those are lovers. They care about each other. They're in a relationship, that type of thing. And um, I have some questions regarding the end of this. So I know that NoHo Hank at the end of this, basically he's just wiggling out of trying not to be killed by the cartel. And the same thing is the cartel is almost deciding that Cristobal he is no longer suited to, run the American side of the industry, I guess. And so they're going to try to take him out, because they know he's sleeping with um NoHo Hank. And Cristobal, I think it's his father-in-law, is the one that has come to America, and he's brought all these like, uh, you know, uh, what hitmen to come take out the Chechens as well. But the thing is, Cristobal obviously doesn't want NoHo Hank to die. He cares about him, so that was the hard thing for him. Um, okay. So no, it's the Bolivian mafia. Sorry, I was looking for Cristobal, and I didn't realize that they had their actors' names first. It's Michael Irby as Cristobal, and I think he plays, a very fluent cartel, I guess, mafia member. At the end of this is where it gets a little bit weird. Now, let me talk about the very last episode, just to kind of round it all off about what's going on with NoHo Hank. He's captured and he's taken to um he's captured and he is, let me see. Hank travels to Bolivia to find Cristobal, only to be captured alongside his fellow Chechens. And it was pretty funny. He's just like in Bolivia, like yelling. He's like Cristobal, like down the street, like, and asking random people if they know Cristobal. And all of a sudden, he's just like darted right in the neck, right by a hitman. And NoHo Hank is cracking jokes as he goes down. I'm like, good lord, this guy can't stop. So, anyways, um, uh, he's captured. Basically, they have a really amazing scene in this final episode, episode 8, starting now, with NoHo Hank listening and talking to one of his Chechnyan friends, basically get mauled to death by a fucking, what sounds like a lion, but we never actually see the lion. And the sound effects and seeing the terror on NoHo Hank's face was like, oh my God, it was something it was hard for me to watch. It's one thing to see somebody get tortured in a way, I guess, or just mauled, I guess, on, on a show or something like that, but I think it's a whole nother experience to watch somebody, like we are like feeling so bad for this guy, like we want him to get out and he's just terrified. NoHo Hank, Anthony Kerrigan is selling this scene so well. Like the fact of like possibly being mauled by a tiger or something like that just sounds like the scariest fucking thing. I don't know if it's a lion or a tiger, um, but it's some sort of animal of that sorts. And then all of a sudden the camera is just panning left to right on a blank wall for like, I don't know how long. Maybe the scene's maybe 4 or 5 minutes, but like 2 minutes of it is this, his buddy being like, all right, we're going to get out. And all of a sudden he's like, like my leg. And, and all of a sudden his buddy is just dead. And all we're seeing is Hank fucking freaking the fuck out. And all of a sudden one of the guards is like laughing about it and just walks over and laughing, or whatever happens causes the guard to like yak. So like under the door of NoHo Hank's cell, and it's just disgusting as fuck. I swear it's green for some reason. I don't know what's going on. But I was like, holy shit. I was like, this is a fucking visceral scene. And the majority of it is all done with just watching NoHo Hank's face, you know, crippled down, thinking he's about to get mauled by a fucking tiger. And then all of a sudden, you know, this amazing sound effects going, the sound work in this and the foliage was amazing in this. You know, eventually NoHo Hank breaks his way out. A guard comes in, he busts the guard open, busts him over the head, I think shoots him, and then he shoots into the other room where the animal was and kills the animal somehow. Gets ready to run away and goes upstairs, shoots two people that are performing a very interesting ritual for which I was not expecting was what's his face? Cristobal. Cristobal was upstairs of where NoHo Hank was being held, which I had so many questions. Cristobal's like upstairs getting like a lap dance from this like Bolivian gay man, I assume. Or he's you know, giving him a lap dance, looking like Chippendales up there, the Bolivian Chippendales. He's sitting in an electric chair, Cristobal is, and getting his like head, I don't know, like electrocuted or something, sending like it looked like an electric chair, and he was getting like shocked to his head, and he just looked like fucking brain dead. But it looked like this was something he was doing to get off. I was like, do rich people fucking do this? It's like they just, you know, drugs aren't enough that you have to like smoke a cigar and fucking, you know, get a lap dance from Bolivian Chippendales, and all of a sudden get, you know, brain waves electrocuted in there. But anyways, NoHo Hank comes up there, and I was like, he shoots both of these people performing for Cristobal, but at this point, Cristobal looks like his brain is so fucking fried that he doesn't even know Hank is right in front of him. But I thought it was, again, with the foliage, all you hear is you know, two shots, and you know, you hear two thuds. One of the thuds goes on the floor. That's the lady that's performing for him doing the shocks, and then the other one was the what's it called, the guy that was dancing for him or on him, and all you hear is like the you know, the, I don't know, how do you do a piano noise without doing a sound effect? I don't know. All you hear is the smash of the piano keys, and you're like, oh, fucking NoHo Hank is about to go fucking off. You know, he looked fucking crazy enough with his handcuffs removed, and he's like walking through really slow, and we get, you know, the slow focus pull of the, you know, the blurriness of the room comes into, you know, comes into light, and NoHo and Cristobal end up embracing. And I was expecting the entire time someone's going to kill somebody. I was like, I was thinking that the entire time, but like NoHo, NoHo was almost being, I don't think he was being tortured, but he was definitely being held hostage, and basically was going to probably be eaten by a tiger of some sorts. And was Cristobal going to let that happen? Like, did Cristobal know he was downstairs? Like, how much did Cristobal know about all this is what my question was. I had a lot of, um, I still do have questions about what was going on there. Sometimes I feel like I want a little bit more just to kind of understand that, not have like so many questions. But yeah, so let's see what else we got. All right. Let me see. So the final episode, Barry leaves the hospital only to find Sally at his apartment asking for help on getting revenge on Natalie. Barry refuses, but they are ambushed by their surviving member of the motocross gang, who knocks out Barry and attempts to kill Sally. I was like, this is an intense ass fucking scene just to like come off out of nowhere. The motorcycle gang was something I felt was, I just kind of forgot about it, didn't really see it ending up anywhere. And then it almost ends up killing Barry and almost killing Sally. Sally Barry's knocked out essentially this entire fight. But it is a fucking struggle between Sally and this guy. And he's like pressing all of his weight on her throat, choking her. And then I was like, Jesus, she's this like, Sarah Goldberg is having to give her fucking performance this fucking series. I mean, she's going from the emotional abuse, the work abuse, the husband abuse, not the boyfriend abuse, and now she's literally getting abused physically by this guy, and she basically has to fight him off. And it's like what feels like 2 minutes of her just being choked to death, and right before she's about to die, you're like, Barry's gonna wake up, Barry's gonna wake up, and you see her look over at Barry, and Barry's ass is just sitting there. Laid down, knocked out on the floor. I'm like, as the viewer, we're just like, oh fuck, Barry's not coming. And so, like, as soon as she's like losing all breath and everything, she like pulls her arm up really fast and stabs him in the side of the face. And the knife goes through what looks like through the jaw all the way to the eyeball. I was like, oh my God. I was like, that is fucking disgusting. And they're in a house that has this, they're being attacked in a house that has a studio and like a sound studio. And he like walks in there and he's like, oh fuck, 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 my eye, what'd you do to my eye? I can't fucking see anything, blah blah blah. And he goes in there and sits down in the studio, and the camera is sitting outside of the sound booth in this house. And it just sits there for a second, and you see Sally kind of get up, grab a bat, and all you can see is like a little open window into the studio. But she hits him one time, he falls off this chair, and I think the door is closing slowly. So you see her like beating him and hearing it, and then all of a sudden the sound stops once the door fully closes in the studio, and all you see is Sally just going off, beating the hell out of this guy. And it's with reason. Like, this guy tried to kill her. Like, I like beat the shit out of this guy, And so yeah, she beats him to death. And then Barry finally wakes up and sees all this happening and pulls her off and is like, this did not happen. You need to go home. You need to get out of here. And so that's like the inciting incident for them to get the fuck out of there. Barry tells Sally to go home and that he will take the blame. Fuchs is imprisoned. And he tells I think he tells the guard, he's like, I'm not Fuchs, I'm the Raven. Just like this random ass made up shit that nobody really believed until Fuchs actually became it. So again, Hank is forced to listen to his fellow Chechnyans be mauled and eaten alive by, it was a fucking panther. Holy shit. Not a lion or tiger. He breaks free from his shackles and uses a guard's machine gun to kill the animal, then kills Elena and reunites with Cristobal. I think Elena might have been his real wife, Cristobal's real wife. Let me see. I don't actually have the name in front of me, but I'll continue on. I don't want to sit here too much longer for y'all. Yeah, I don't see what I don't see at all. I don't see her last name, so I assume it is. Let me see. Albert confronts Barry as he is burying the biker and implores him to stop killing. So this is a scene that I was talking about. Like, we didn't see Barry show up there. We didn't see Albert show up there. There's no like transportation B-roll of them getting there or going anywhere. It's just they are there. Barry is burying this body, the guy that tried to kill Sally and him. And just all of a sudden, Albert like Batman's pops out of nowhere in the middle of the fucking desert. I don't know how he snuck up on Barry at all, like without a car or anything. Like, it doesn't look like there's that much cover. So he just like suddenly pops up and implores him to stop. And he's about to like what looks like kill Barry, but he's like, this has to fucking stop. So Barry makes plans with Sally to run away. Basically Albert walks off the scene and he doesn't do anything, but maybe he's just waiting for the right time. Barry makes plans with Sally to run away from Los Angeles. And that's one of the times he's actually in the car, unaware she is already traveling on her own to Joplin, Missouri. Um, Jim Moss. Yeah. So basically, Sally gets the hell out of Dodge, goes to Missouri. Jim Moss calls him to tell him he spoke with Gene and asked to meet. Um, this was, it kind of skips conveniently at the beginning of the Gene and the Jim scene, but I did mention earlier how amazing that scene was and how formative it is to the end of the season and maybe the series. I'm not sure if this season is going to get renewed for a fourth season yet. I don't see anything that regards it yet, but it's an award winner, so it's kind of regardless of the viewership. It just is a really highly rewarding show, both watching it and from the awards ceremony like Emmys and whatnot. So what else do we got? Barry tries to ignore Gene, but is lured to Moss's house when Gene subsequently calls, claiming he is going to kill Moss. And that's when Barry shows up, and there's this fucking front cam on top of his car, one of the more interesting scenes of them going around, and he's just booking it to go to fucking Gene. He's like, Gene, don't you fucking kill Jim. Don't fucking kill Jim. You're going to fuck everything up. And basically when he gets there, he tells Gene, what's what, tells him he, can't do this. And I think Gene tells him several times, don't go inside, don't go inside, don't do this, blah, blah, blah. Barry says, don't worry about it. I'm going to go inside, take care of this, and prepares to kill Moss. It's a very slow shot of Barry walking in, trying to figure out what the best method is to do. And I think he has just lost his shit at this point. And he sees, I think there's a game playing in the other room. So it's really, it's not terribly loud, but there is like a little bit of sound happening, so it's not just completely silent, but kind of takes the edge off a little bit. So you think that when Barry rolls up to Jim, Jim is unready for it. Jim's getting a little bit of whiskey, and all of a sudden, once Barry pulls out his gun, or the gun that Gene had, which I think was a revolver and did not have his, standard silencer on it. I was like, damn, this guy is about to literally take out, Jim Moss with a loud ass fucking revolver. That's going to be, people are going to hear that. And so I was thinking that the whole time he was pointing this at Jim, but then all of a sudden you hear, freeze on the fucking ground, drop your fucking gun. And I think they say it like 4 times. And then out of the fucking blackness of everything, out of the black, dark night, these SWAT team members come in like one by one, and then start to form a line. It's like, holy shit. It's not just one. It's not just 2. It's not just 6. It's not just 7. It was probably like 20, what felt like 10 SWAT team members coming out of the darkness, and then another 10 coming through the other side of the house. And they just run and ambush Barry. And all of a sudden we see the blocking of the SWAT team members move out of the way, and we see who was behind it all. It was fucking Gene. Gene came through and said, that's it. It's got to stop starting now. And so that is the end of season 3 of Barry. What a freaking season. Like I said, there's so much more I wasn't able to cover throughout the season, but I got to say it was a hell of a fucking ride. We are being treated to so much good content, good television media, all the way from Barry to Better Call Saul to Stranger Things to all sorts of different types of media that are finally coming out after so many years that we've been waiting, 2-3 years for some of these things, that I am just I'm floored with all this amazing content that's finally coming to fruition to the big streaming screen. And yeah, the boys also on as well. So be sure to check out all the podcasts coming down the pipe. Let me know what you thought about Barry. I think that this was one. I don't know if it's better than first season, just because first season I still found somewhat watchable, but like watchable from the standpoint of like rooting for people. I do feel like what they've done here is the full Breaking Badness of all of the characters. And like, I personally only really like NoHo Hank, NoHo Hank's character on screen anymore. The rest of the people that are on this, uh, the characters that are on this, from Barry to Fuchs to Sally to Gene's okay, but he's still not a great guy. But we find out so many of these main lead characters have such flaws to the point I'm like, oh my geez, this is like really heavy stuff, and it's hard to watch, let alone binge in certain scenarios. Watching, Sally Reed be abused a couple scenes throughout the beginning of the season, only to be beaten at the end of the season. It's like, oh my God, it was a very heavy season. I got to just kind of point that out, that, the likability of these characters is starting to kind of wane on me a little bit, especially kind of with a lot of these shows recently that I have kind of just mentioned, the Better Calls, the Breaking Bads, a little bit, some of the boys. A lot of them have just unlikable characters. And I'm not saying that likable or unlikable characters can make or break a show, but I think it can make the show a little bit harder to enjoy. Um, for me personally, this might not be for everybody when I say this, that, Barry is a hard character to really root for, and I don't need all of my media to have something that, you root for the main guy. But if they don't have many likable characters on screen, I do find it a little bit harder to stay with the shows, to stick with the show. If these were 12 episode seasons, I could absolutely see myself like, oh my gosh, kind of wrap it up, everybody. But they don't overstay their welcome ever. And if we are only getting a little bit of Barry every couple years, I'm totally fine with that. I mean, I don't think this is a series that goes for 10 seasons. I think this is a probably 5 or 6 at most, max. So um yeah, I love the show. I do find it's a little bit it's heavy for me to watch at some points, because the uh tragic comedy aspects of it do feel very real in this season. And it does feel more like the descent into a little bit more madness over the course of the seasons. So yeah, let me know what everyone thought about Barry. Got 24 episodes, 3 seasons. I absolutely would watch a whole nother season of this. Some of the most impressive work technically, from, like I said, the uh, cinematography, um, to the action scenes that don't happen every episode. It's not like a big action show, but when they do, I feel like they're very creative. And the comedy always is very funny, very insightful, sometimes meta. And I would, wholeheartedly agree with it. You got Rotten Tomatoes sitting at season 1, 98%, season 2 and 3 at 100%. People are really, really liking the show. So, yeah, let me just finish off with Rotten Tomatoes. The season holds 100% rating with an average rating of 8.95 out of 10 based on 72 reviews. The site's critics consensus states Bill Hader and the company can take a well-deserved bow. Barry makes its belated return to the screen without missing a step. I absolutely agree. Retaining its edge is one of the television's funniest and most unsettling offerings. Metacritic, the season has a score of 94 out of 100 based on 19 critics, indicating the universal acclaim. So yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. Go check out Barry season 3. Let me know what you thought about the podcast. Let me know what you thought about Barry, and take it easy. Peace.